So episode 9 of the Zodiac War is definitely a step up from last week's episode, which I did enjoy, but I didn't find it that amazing in comparison to some of the other episodes, and I know a lot of people weren't a fan of last week's episode, but I definitely think this episode does step it up, but I could definitely see a lot of people still saying this is lackluster in comparison to some of the earlier episodes. Now, for me personally, I've been watching this show since the very start because I want to see the individual stories. This is what I'm watching for. I'm not watching for the action. I'm not watching to find out who's gonna win. I mean, look at the ending song or just read the titles for the upcoming episodes. It tells you in order of how this is going to go down. So for me personally, I've been watching because I enjoy the idea of what these characters represent and I want to see their stories. And even though the writing isn't anything to really write home about minus a couple of the characters, it's still enough for a battle royale setting, which typically with battle royale, it's just kind of glorified bloodbaths and mindless action in my honest opinion. So I do appreciate the fact that it feels like this is trying to be at least a bit more than that. And it definitely is taking away from some of the action, which I have seen some people complain that some of these deaths are going by far too quick, that it's just boom, they're sliced up and they're dead like that. I actually appreciate that they're not trying to go the route of just dragging it, a lot of people punching each other, stabbing each other, and just dragging the fights out. For me personally, that's great because action isn't the thing that I watch anime or really anything for. I prefer, like, I could watch a comedy anime and it just be jokes, but I couldn't watch a show that's just action. That just bores me. I need to have story or a motive and a purpose for these characters to fight. So for me personally, the way the show did go from just being kind of like half and half story, half action, to now more or less like 90% backstory and then just some little bit of action, that's okay for me, but I understand if people aren't a big fan of that. But the main purpose of this episode was obviously kill off Dragon, which I actually really liked how he got killed. I thought that was perfect, especially for Rabbit being like killing psychologically by throwing his brother's severed head up, letting him catch it, and then just slicing him in half and then turning him into a corpse. So it's pretty awesome to see like almost like a bionicle transformation of Dragon and Snake and how it was now like 4 against 2 when it came to Ox and Tiger. I thought that was actually pretty cool, and how they ultimately stopped them, because if they had the flamethrower that Snake had still, but unfortunately Tiger drank all the fuel in that, they could have just burned them because we do know that can stop them. But I thought it was interesting how essentially she just kind of like cryo freezes all of them, and then that takes care of those zombies. Now, I assume they're probably done. They're completely out of the picture now since they are completely frozen. I know a lot of people have been speculating like, oh, there's no way Rabbit is fully dead. The fact that it was just bang like that, but I don't see why that's such a speculation, to be honest, because even if somehow he wasn't dead, which arms, his head, his torso, it's all completely sliced up, I would just assume most people would think that, well, he's a necromancer, his ability probably works on himself as well. That's the route I think they're going to go. Yes, I don't think Rabbit is out of the equation just yet. However, I think it's going to be the same purpose as Snake was, where it's now going to be a corpse that is going to fight against him. Obviously, he's not out of the picture. I think it would be a little bit of wasted potential if they took Rabbit out and not have his abilities work on himself. So that's how I see they're going to go with it, but maybe people are right. Maybe he's not dead, but I think it's clear that he's probably dead and his abilities are just going to revive himself, and then we're going to see just, is his arms and legs gonna like function separate from his body, or is he gonna like reattach them? Maybe he's already died before and that's who we're witnessing or something like that. So we'll see how that goes. And I don't think we actually saw Tiger's full backstory, because the fact is Tiger seems to have a very unhealthy obsession with Ox, like as if she knows him, but Ox seems to not know her. So I think we are going to see a bit more of Tiger's backstory probably next week, because I don't think we've seen the entire picture here, just based on the fact that it would be pretty underwhelming if we didn't get to see why she's so obsessed with Ox and why she wants to fight him. Seeing how she started off as like a noble warrior, and then the more she kind of got indulged with blood and alcohol, and how her mind just turned her into almost like a mindless beast in a lot of ways. It was pretty interesting to see that. A lot of the stuff surrounding her, it wasn't that amazing in my opinion, but it was enough to keep me interested in seeing this backstory. I think it definitely dragged a little too much in comparison to some of the other backstories, but I thought the idea of showing her transformation from a noble fighter to just what we see now, a drunken, kind of almost soulless, like nothing seems to get in her way, it definitely felt off at certain places. Like I think it was really cool seeing the dragon stuff and how just Rabbit kind of threw his brother's head up there, killing him, and then all the zombie stuff. And I think the overall idea for the backstory was good, but just felt like it needed a bit more spice to make it one of the amazing backstories, but it was far from bad, and I'm hoping that we haven't seen the entire picture of it, and maybe next week we'll see a bit more into her past, which will kind of flesh it out a bit more, and make her backstory something that will stick out from all of them. But overall, this is a fine episode. This is like an average to above average series in my opinion, but it's fun. I like what they're doing with it. I'm not typically into battle royales. I appreciate the stories. and then that's kind of like what I'm watching for anyway, but I know a lot of people just want better action or more intriguing backstories in comparison to some of the earlier ones, but we'll see where next week's goes. We only have a few episodes left anyway, but let's see where it goes. But let me know your thoughts, and before you leave, smack that like button, share your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.